Okay, so here we are, starting it all up. So we got extra turrets as the mods, lots of craft stuff to change the research, all the Bob stuff. Got nuclear before it was standard, iron cannon, a whole bunch of stuff that makes enemies heaps harder, like they work in packs because of the rampant mod. And with the evolution thing, there's much harder enemies as well, like carrier enemies and artillery ones and stuff like that. We've also got super turrets to be able to deal with all that. But it made the game, especially the start, super hard. We had to restart a whole bunch of times. Anyway, this is about where we started. Things are very different from how it started. I remember there was a power thing here, for instance. Alright, let's just start doing the tour. I suppose we can start with power. I'm going to get there pretty quick. Alright, so at some point we upgraded to all this power here and set all this up. Oh my god, yeah, that's right. So one of the people on this server, Mike or Thwekanoid, built a whole bunch of guns. Like he would always build pistols and just leave them in places where we'd pick them up. It's very annoying. So we'd put them on belts where we're picking up a whole bunch of other stuff, and then we'd just have them in our inventory. And then one time, Dave, Mr. Adams from the school, found this as well, and he had been automating the whole process and making these giant warehouses full of guns. Very helpful. Anyway, so here's our power. Coal or fossil fuel power. Everything's set up for that. Follows fun little trains because we get bored with things. And then we have all our accumulators. Sort of just power blocks and some solar panels. I think we've got other solar panel setups too. Oh yeah, this is where we create trees for wood, because with one of the Bob's mods, the circuit boards need to originally go on wood things, so we had to automate these greenhouses to make wood and plants and whatnot. Oh, here's our train. Where's the train line? Following the train. Oh, more accumulators. Train. Oh, we had a big defense here. Things got hectic, so we had to build a bit of a wall maze as it was going through. I'll go through the defenses in a bit. I just wanted to find this train. There it is. Rambo train. Back powered and goes forward. And really, it just takes these four objects here. So, oil, copper. Oh, there it goes. I'll get here so I can tank it and show you that. If I can. No! Yeah, well, hit it there. But I can just about run faster than it. But it's a quick one. Oh, another interesting thing with having all, right click on this, having all the different exoskeletons is if you run fast enough, you can actually clip through walls because it draws you on the next frame on the other side. This is a bug endemic to a lot of video games that you guys can find as well. Yeah, it's all about what frame things are drawn on. It's how a lot of speedrunners take advantage of things in 2D platformers and even 3D ones as well. Alright, so let's keep going. Here's our iron forge, looks like, with temporary iron storage. Looks like steel here. Original power things. This is what I called Technology Park at one point. It was fun just making, but it was only for red and green research. The guy in our game, Thwekanoid, would often build these sorts of things. Just, it doesn't do anything. I think it's passing around a light and an assembly plant, yeah. He's helpful, let's put it that way. Concrete production, start of, this was our first circuit board stuff before we upgraded to another one. And even more circuit board stuff goes to here, and then goes on smileys. Batman, I think this says. Oh yeah, I'll get to the defenses in a sec. And more circuit boards, and eventually this all went into modules here. And with the Bob's mod stuff, module production goes up quite a lot more. So we have this one, making the speed boards, and they go up to like level 9 or something. So that had to go down here, so it's like 1, 2, 3, and so on. Eventually down to these ones, which are creating module 8. I guess it goes to 8. And here we have the productivity processor boards for some other stuff. Alright. Every part of this, all the real estate was really hard fought. Because of the difficulty of the enemies, we were constantly on the back foot for defense. Oh, there's more power here too. So that was just always our concerns. And that's why everything's so messy, because we had to get stuff up and running super quick all the time. Here looks like we've got uranium. All the ore packed away. Sulfuric acid production. Everything's pretty backed up. Here's our oil production, the refineries here. And nuclear power plants are just jammed in here. So we have 4 nuclear reactors. Not terribly much, but I think the mod ended up making them more efficient for things. And we reprocess the fuel rods here. I think we're out of them. Oh no, it's just, yeah, it's not storing, it's processing all of them. And that creates plutonium, which creates nuclear warheads, which we add to missiles and make these. They're not very great, I don't think. It's better just to build these defenses. Okay, so defenses. We use sniper turrets and armor-piercing rounds, and it's all on a giant ammo belt that encircles the entire map. One ammo belt goes around the entire thing. And map. These is what really cranked up our power requirements, the electron beam turrets, and that really did save our ass, because they're splash damage. As soon as we put one of them down, all our power went down, and when your power goes down, your nuclear goes down as well, because you have to have some power to keep your nuclear reactors running. So that was a disaster for a while. It pretty much took 2 nights of sort of trying to scramble back and constantly running to the forefront and everything. Our defenses are as a problem is pretty much solved at this point. There's our other train that takes silicon from way up the top. I'll show you that in a second. That was a really hard fought expansion, a couple of nights again. So yeah, you can see how we did this expansion at one point. This I can't remember what this goes to. Something pretty basic, I think. But we had to push out with turrets and build walls of particle accelerators as we went all the way through. Coal there. It was for this copper. Okay. Ooh. Yes, and these artillery pieces, which yeah, auto target and ended up killing all the bases that we needed them to. Let's just run through this wall. And show you what these turrets look like. Oh, here's some baddies. Come on. Yeah, and gems for focusing all the laser technologies and stuff. So you end up upgrading all your gems to diamonds and polishing them to a high level. I'll show you that in a second. The particle accelerators here should shoot in a sec. So they're pretty efficient, but they use pretty enormous amounts of power. I'll just show the power outputs. So that spiked there. So it's hard to tell without them all firing. It used to be a real problem power, but we've pretty much got it solved with all of these. You can see we've got 6,800 accumulators storing it all, and a whole bunch of steam engines running and solar panels. I'm not sure what it goes to in the end, but quite a lot. Alright, what else? Gems is here, I think. No, this is iron. Just extra iron. This is another expansion. And down here, accumulator farm, more accumulators. This was just a storage automator. Who made this? Thwekanoid, of course he did. Yeah, and it was just for automating building warehouses. Really unnecessary. We didn't need to have that at all. But, you know, that's what he does. He also likes plutonium parties, apparently. That's definitely his work. Yeah, we built land bridges out to various spots that we couldn't get to. This one's for bauxite. Tungsten, okay. So lots of little factories having to do all this stuff and end up building things like tungsten carbide. A couple of tungsten plates. Alright, gems is down here. So we're stealing these gems, all defended. And then we'll go into the sorting area, which goes into various other ones, and then through the refining process to make polished items. The research tree is much expanded. Yeah, we were working towards iron cannon stuff, but we're just about there. What else do we need? So we'll get there. I'll show research now. Go through. A little technology park. Let's go on the bridge. Oh yeah, this is one of the expansions. This was quite hard fought as well. There was heaps of stone here, which we needed at the time. Looks like there's a little bit of iron left. Very hard fought. Pretty much any time we had to do expansions, we had to make sure all three of us were on, because we'd always overexpand and then require a huge amount of power upgrades as well. Here was one of our oil expansions to a really rich oil field we found. So there's quite a few derricks that we could put here, different spots, and we speed them up heaps. So even if they're pretty much out, they're full of speed modules, so they still pull 0.4 oil out. Alright, so I'll just show one last part. The glass expansion that we had to do, which is way away. As you can see on the map, we're getting close here. Ooh. Well, up here. This was extremely hard to build. It took us ages to put all this defences in. It was in the middle of enemy territory, and we really had to just move walls of turrets across as we slowly took it all. Looks like there's still a few guys here. So we'll drag them back into our defence, and then I'll finish the video. Yeah, this will piss them right off. They hate it when you kill trees, so let's do a bit of that. Because this base was so low pollution, there's no processing that happens here, so it just doesn't give off much pollution. It doesn't really piss them off too much. In the end, anyway. When we first got it, they were not a happy boys. Hey friends. Zapdos! So even with this sort of defense, bigger attacks were a problem still. I would have to rush up there and use nukes and grenades. Never really used tanks or anything. Anyway, about wraps it up. Thanks guys.